Hello everyone, myself Professor Vikash Katariya, and you are watching my second lecture based on operating system. Subject name is operating system and subject code is 3630003, lecture number 2. In these lectures I am going to cover a basic function of operating system. So let's have on their category. First is initial loading of programs. There is major function of operating system. First is initial loading of programs. Let me list out first, then we will discuss on later. Second function of operating system is it manages the process. That's why the process management function. Third is memory management function. Fourth is device management functions. Fifth is file management functions. Sixth is secondary memory management function. Seventh one is network management function, and last is protection and security management functions. So there are 8 different type of functions which is mostly performed by the operating system. Let me list out first. First is initial loading of programs. It loads the initial programs, whatever is required we will discuss on later. Second is process management functions. There are so many functions which manage all the processes executing in primary memory. Third is memory management function, will manage how process takes the memory into RAM. Fourth, device management functions, how hardware devices actually works with the operating system. File management functions will describe how many functions are there which manage file created by the user. Sixth, secondary memory management function. Okay. Seventh is network management functions. Eighth is protection and security management functions. Okay, so let's have a look. First is initial loading of program. So what kind of program that is initially loaded by the operating system? So what kind of function it is? Let's have a discuss. Initial loading of program means when a computer system is switched on. Whenever you start your computer or you boot your system, an operating system is automatically loaded, as you know well. For example, a PC running under MS-DOS loads the following programs. Okay, like first function which comes into io.sys, which means it controls input output devices. So at the time of loading there should be a files which is known as io.sys which manage or control how many input devices are connected, how many output devices are connected with the system. That should be performed very correctly. Okay, so io.sys is the name of file which should be loaded into the primary memory at the time of initial booting. Second file is ms-dos.sys. Means you need a command, maybe internal command or maybe external commands. If you have the collection of internal and external commands, you can operate your operating system very easily. Third file, which is very important, which is known as config.sys, means configure the device drivers. So every hardware device must associated with a hardware file which is known as device driver. All drivers, which is the software programs which know how to hardware device will actually work, that will be loaded into the primary memory, and the all drivers file will be loaded or situated in the config.sys file. So that should be loaded at the time of initial. Okay. Fourth is command.com. This is again very important file which should be loaded into the primary memory at the time of booting. What it does for us, it loads the command line interpreter. So whatever console you seen on your console, that will comes with the help of command.com. It loads the command line interpreter, right? Then last one is auto exe dot bat, means sets the procedure the user wants the PC to perform automatically when it is booted. So it sets all the procedures automatically at the time of booting. Okay, so autoexe.bat file must be there, which set some procedures that the user wants to PC to perform automatically when the PC is boot. Okay, so first function is very clear. It initially loading some functions, some programs into the primary memory. So what kind of program or what kind of functions which loaded by the operating system is first io.sys, ms-dos.sys, config.sys, command.com, and last is autoexe.bat. These are the initial programs which loaded by the operating system at the time of booting. Second function was it managed the process, that's why it's process management function. Management functions. Process management function means a process can be thought of as a program in execution. We can say what is process? Program at the time of execution is called process. So we can define the process in a very easily terms. Program at the time of execution is called process. Okay. Now suppose there is a single user environment, so it quite possible there is single process in the RAM. So there is not very much complex to manage a single process. But if user works on multi-user environment, if we are using those operating system which deal with the multi-user environment, then there every process belonging to a user. So if there are number of users working simultaneously, so there must be number of process working in simultaneously. Definitely it will work simultaneously manner. Okay, so process can be thought of as a program in execution. Typically a batch job is in process. Batch job we can also said as a process in which multiple jobs, multiple process comes into the primary memory. So we can say in single term it is a batch job. So batch job is also a process. A time shared user program is also a process. A system task such as pulling output to a printer also is a process. Okay, so let me write here what I would say what is process actually. So program at the time of execution is called process. Batch job is also kind of process which has to manage into the primary memory. A time shared user program is a process. A system task such as spooling output to a printer also is a process. Okay, so if we have different kind of process into the primary memory, somehow we need to manage all the processes into primary memory, because the management of process is taken care by the operating system. That's why it perform the function which is known as process management. So program at the time of execution is called process. Batch job is also kind of process which managed by the operating system. A time shared user program is a process. A system task such as spooling output to a printer also is a process. We can take an example here. Suppose there are multi-user system. And as far as the multi-user system is concerned, each user can perform their own task. Each task become process situated at RAM or primary memory we can say. So at the time of execution, there must be number of processes maybe in primary memory. So somehow we need to manage all the process at any cost. Okay, so operating system do favor for us. It manages all processes with respect to their policies. So this is called process management. So let me revise. Process management functions. Program at the time of execution is called process. Batch job is also kind of process in which so many processes are bunched together. is memory management functions. Memory management function, if number of processes comes into the primary memory, then how memory will be allocated to a process, because each process is required a memory. So how it will take primary memory, that is very big issue. So primary memory, that means the management of primary memory, the management of RAM is called the memory management function. Main memory is central to the operation of the modern computer system. As we know very well, main memory is a large array of words or bytes ranging in size from hundreds of thousands to hundreds of millions. We can store thousands of words into the primary memory because it is scattered in terms of array. As we can store a single byte in an array, one cell of array, similarly the RAM classified in that manner. We can store our words, we can store our thousands or millions of words into the primary memory, and it will manage by the operating system, right? So operating system is responsible for the following activities in connection with memory management. So what kind of activity it can perform with respect to primary memory is, it always keep track of memory. For what parts are in the use and by whom. So if there are so many processes currently situated or executing in the primary memory, then what part actually uses by the memory and by whom, which process is using what kind of area into the RAM. So it will keep track of memory, what part are in the use and by whom. So this is managed by the operating system, as well as what parts are not in use. Means free space of primary memory. So operating system keep tracks of all the memory, what part is in use, by whom, and what parts are not in use or free, we can allocate to other process. Okay. Second, if multiprogramming. In case of multiprogramming, decide which process gets it and how much. So if user performing multiprogramming or user working in a multiprogramming environment, then operating system must decide which process get it and how much, because each process have different requirement. Every process have their own TDS, text data stack. Maybe some process contain 30 kilobyte, maybe some other process contain 50 kilobyte, maybe some in MB, maybe some in GB. Okay, so we can't say how much bytes stored by the, how much memory stored by the, engaged by the process. So somehow if multiprogramming is there, it should be decided first which process gets how much memory. Next is recovery or recover memory when process no longer needs it or has been terminated. So it is very clear, processes, if process engage some resources, memory is one kind of resources, then process must release or released all the resources or memory which is engaged by the process. So at the time of termination, at the time of execution, process must release all the memory which it engaged, right? So recover memory when process no longer needs it or has been terminated. So these are basic function of memory management, how operating system manage the memory. Fourth one is device management function. So as the name suggests, device management, that means we are talking about the hardware device, how it manage the devices, how operating system acknowledge some devices are connected or not connected. So let's have a look. Device management functions, it is one of the purposes of an operating system is to hide the peculiarities of specific hardware devices from the user. We just know how to use the hardware, but the actuality or mechanisms, how the device actually work, what is the mechanisms behind it, that will not understand by the user, and it is not necessary to. We just know how to use the keyboard, we just know how to use the mouse, but how it is actually what kind of mechanisms working behind the mouse and keyboard, that will not take care by the users. So device management function is very crucial. It tells us that it is a major function of operating system which tells to the users that how specific hardware device abstracting the main function from the user. So it is one of the purposes of an operating system is to hide the peculiarities, we can say specialities so it is a peculiarities of operating system of specific hardware devices from the user. For example, we can take Unix. So it is one of the major purpose of an operating system is to hide the peculiarities or speciality of specific hardware device from the user. User just need to know how to input, how to output, how to perform the input and output from the device, but how it is performing, it will not take care by the humans or user. So it will hide the peculiarities from the user. This is actually what device management function. Fifth one is file management function, which is again very essential. If user access any operating system, that there are so many desiring from the user, like he wants to create a new file, he wants to create a new directory, he want to delete directory, he want to save their directory, he want to update or edit their files, okay, he want to switch from one location to other location. So there are so many functions based on files and directories user can perform. Okay, so we are writing some list of functions, list of activities which maybe user can do, like creation or deletion of files. It will comes into the file management function. Okay, creation or deletion of file. In the same way, creation or deletion of directory. Means user can create their own directories, he can delete their own directories. The support of primitives for manipulating files and directories. Next is backup of files on stable storage media. User are free to take backup of their files and directory, right? So there are so many functions based on the file and directory user can use as per their requirement. We have several, I am writing here. Backup of files on stable storage media, keep track of resources, its location, use, status, etc. These collective facilities are often called file system. Okay, so it also keep track of resources, also it track about the location, what kind of hardware device is using or resource is using, that means use, their status, is it running or not, etc. So that is basic function of file system actually. So these collectively, these collective facilities are often called file system. So file system is nothing, just overall management of resources, and resources I mean file and directory created by the user. So it will keep track of resources, its location, its use, status. So these collective facilities are often called file system, right? Next one is secondary storage management. Sixth one is secondary storage management function. Secondary storage management function is very clear that I am talking about the hard disk. Okay, so with respect to the hard disk, the main purpose of a computer system is to execute the program. These programs with the data they access must be in primary memory during executing. As we know that program never be executed if they are not in primary memory, but program permanently reside in hard disk or any secondary storage device. It has to be carried from secondary devices to primary memory. So we need to carry out from hard disk to primary memory during the execution. So because main memory is too small to accommodate all data and program, and its data are lost when power is lost, the computer system must provide secondary storage to backup main memory, right? So most program including like compiler, assembler, short routines, editors and formatters are stored on a disk until loaded into memory. Hence the proper management of disk storage is of central importance of a computer system, right? So in the secondary storage management we can explain these terms in certain way, like the main purpose of a computer system is to execute programs, right? These programs with the data they access must be in primary memory, otherwise we can't access it, we can't execute it, right? And we also know the primary memory is too small in size. We can't store so many program, we can't store so many process in primary memory. So somehow we need to manage, we have to swap our process, our programs from hard disk to primary memory and primary memory to hard disk as per our requirement. So primary memory is too small in size, so it is recommended that, so it is recommended all data and program and its data should be swept out or swept in at the time of execution. So it is recommending that we can't store so many process, so many programs in the primary memory. So it is recommending that all data and program and its data should be swept out or swept in at the time of execution. So that is major function which is performed by the operating system is storage, secondary storage management. We can swap out and swap in. Swap out, that means transferring of process data from RAM to hard disk, and swap in means transferring of process data from hard disk to RAM. So this is very essential activities may be performed at the time of execution, that will manage by the hard disk. So secondary storage management function is very essential. Next one is network management function. Network management function, as we are living in distributed manner, we are always connected with the distributed system. We can access our files, we can access our folder, our directories, our all resources are situated at distributed system. Okay, so somehow we belongs to that kind of network which is network based system. So a distributed system is a collection of processors that do not share memory, peripheral devices or a clock. Instead, each processor has its own local memory and clock, and the processes communicate with one another through a various communication lines such as high speed buses and telephone lines. Says already in the last lecture we have talked about that network system is very big, very large. Millions of computer systems are connected together to each other. Between each system there must be a very high speed line which used to transfer the data very rapidly. Okay, and they are connected through the telephone lines, and for transferring the data we required high speed buses. So the processor in the system are connected through a communication network which can be configured in a number of different ways. Okay, the network may be fully or partially connected. The communication network design must consider routing and connection strategies, and the problem of connection and security. So in network management we can write here about the distributed system. A distributed system is a collection of processors that do not share memory, their peripherals, devices, or a clock. Instead, each processor communicate with one another through various communication lines such as high speed buses or telephone lines. So entire things, to in order to manage entire things like how the systems are connected, how they will transfer the data between computer systems. So distributed system is not a single system, let me tell you. It is a combination of millions of computer systems connected to each other through a communication lines which is very high speed. Okay, so somehow we need to manage, we have to install those kind of operating system which manage all these things very easily, because it is not easy task, right? So network management function, those in that function we install distributed kind of system into the into the computer system, okay, which manage all the requirement of network, right? For example, how to design a packet, how to design a packet that will manage by the network operating system. Okay, so this is very essential function of operating system. How to design a packet, how to route the packet, okay, what should be the policies, what should be the policy of routing, sorry. So these are major policies, these are major activities performed by the network management function. So network management function is very important. And the last one is protection and security management function. So operating system also provide so many kind of protection and security for the users. What are they? Let me discuss. So if a computer system has multiple user and allows the concurrent execution of multiple processes, then the various processes must be protected from one another activities. Let me clear first statement, it's performed concurrent execution. Okay, in that case, if there are so many processes currently running in primary memory, that means we are talking about the concurrent execution. So if operating system perform the concurrent execution, it has to be managed by the operating system. What kind of management is? The management of their management of each process cause each process has own text data stack part. Okay, it should not be damaged, should not be it should not be damaged by other process, right? So somehow we need to enforce some policies by which we can protect our process TDS, text data and stack portion. Okay, also it provide user authentication, like invalid user cannot be login from the system or OS operating system. So operating system will restrict if user are valid. If user inputting right username and password, then operating system welcome to that user. Otherwise it prompts a message, you are unauthorized user. Okay, so this is protection and security management function performed by the operating system. Ninth is command interpreter function. Command interpretation functions. So it is one of the most important system programs for an operating system. It is interface between user and operating system. If these functions are not work properly, we cannot use any commands to the operating system, right? So here we can write in simple way, it's provide better collection of commands and command interpreter to the user, right? It's provide better collection of commands and command interpreter to user, so that user can interact with the operating system. Okay, so command interpreter which provided by the operating system, it is a facility or an interface from the operating system. So command interpreter is nothing, just one kind of facility or interface by which user can interact with operating system and use our resources, right? So command interpreter functions, just it's provide the better collection of commands, internal and external commands, and command interpreter to the user, so that user can interact with the operating system. Command interpreter is nothing, just a kind of facility, it's a kind of facility or interface by which user can interact with the OS and use our resources. Okay, so this is the major function performed by the operating system. In the next lecture we will discuss later topic like components of operating system, evolution of operating system. The both topic will cover in the next lecture. Okay, So what you have learned today in lecture 2, you get the knowledge about the function of operating system: initial loading of programs, process management function, memory management function, device management function, file management function, secondary memory management function, network management function, and protection and security management function. And ninth one is command interpretation function. This is also a function of operating system. Okay guys, thank you very much.